Hello, everybody. My name is James Purifoy. I'm the owner of 15th and Chris in Rockford, Illinois, 201 15th Avenue. We have a restaurant, gourmet burgers, and a food truck. If you ever heard of that, if you haven't, check in on us and support that. But I was asked the question, what can we do to make Rockford a better place for everyone in spite of like recent events and things. And my take on it, and it's just my take would be that we need to open up the rhetoric. When I say open up the rhetoric, like, we got to start communicating better or be more understanding to like other people, and we do that through rhetoric and trying to understand different people as far as like races, genre, religion, everything in that accordance. We got this new thing that's going on with the protests and the George Floyd things, and perfect example why the rhetoric needs to open up, because I don't think nobody's saying that was wrong. That was not wrong. That was very wrong. The rioting and the looting is very terrible. We get it. Now, how does this not happen in Rockford, Illinois, and surrounding cities? How do we not become Minnesota, Minneapolis? And the thing is, we go to our city leaders. We go to our chief of police and we ask them, what would you do if that happened here? And look for some understanding with that right there, the question. And we judge their hearts on what stance would they take on it, whether however they feel about it, it was right or wrong, and not going all the way through the video. Go stop at the point. You can stop 4 minutes into the George Floyd video, because that's where it was bad. He's on the ground, 4 cops over him, he's not resistant, knee in his neck. Officer got his hands in his pocket. It's either 3.5 more minutes after that he dies. And that's the part that we're not even going to get into, because where's the police training at where this was okay? This was so okay for it to go all the way to where it went. People standing right there, and it's like, dude, he's not breathing. Nobody's adhering to it. Officers that's saying that, okay, it was a 19-year veteran on the force. They called him sir. He was the one that was in command. But at some point, we're talking about a life. At what point do these officers say that this is wrong? Get off of him, push him off of him, have to take force against him to stop him from breaking the law and killing a person, because that's how he valued that person's life. Doesn't matter if he was black, he was white, he was Mexican, he was Asian, he was whatever he was. At what point do the people standing around take action? At what point do the officers themselves, knowing the training that they have, that this is totally out of training and we need to stop this? At what point does that happen? And there's where, the George Floyd thing is happening. But at what point do you call on your city leaders and have them be accountable for us to understand who we have in office, in seats, in those places where they look at us in our face and say, we're going to do this, or I would have done this. This would have happened. We talking so many days after arrest was even made, a charge was even brought, because they fired them as soon as they seen the video. That shows that to them this was wrong. And at some point, now let's start having accountability and skip the investigation, because charges can come immediately, because we know, watching the video, charges need to be brought. And from there, proceed. You would not, right now, you would not have a protest or looting if the situation that happened with George Floyd and many people before George Floyd, if the right precautions were taken by our city leaders to stop this from happening. So we need to ask those people that's in play in whatever city that this is being viewed from, who are you? Who would you be in this situation? And this is how you open up the rhetoric. Because from a city standpoint, they speak to more people than even B103 can speak to. And they actually amend and regulate, like those statutes that they will put in place. So you sit back and you ask them, what would you guys do in this situation? And go from there. The city, to make Rockford and surrounding cities a better place is to start speaking and try understanding other people. Try to at least understand. Try to how black people feel from viewing situations like this over and over and over again. It's like this ain't our first rodeo with this. It's like we would not be surprised if put on trial, found not guilty, because we see it always happen. And I'm not talking about George Floyd as a character, what he was doing, a counterfeit bill, or any of that stuff right there. No guy needs to be on the ground and being treated like that by the police, who we are here to protect us. That's here to protect us. And watch this. This guy's on the ground. He's crying for his mother. He's transitioning, and nobody is sitting there doing nothing. We got to be better as people. If we're gonna love our brothers, love thy neighbor, and all that stuff, right, and all that right there, we gotta look into like our community. I don't want this to happen to my kid. What can they say, city leaders say to me to make me feel better if my kid was in this situation, no matter the situation of that case that got my son on the ground, but he's gonna die from it? That cop the arresting cop is gonna do my son like that, and there's not gonna be no provisions about it? Makes me mad. Makes you highly able in the mindset to be able to rebel, revolt, do whatever, because that situation in Minneapolis is totally wrong. And we talking 4 minutes into the tape. We don't got to watch the whole tape. That's wrong, and that's what the protest is about. The rioting I'm not even touching that, because that's wrong. That's wrong. Rioting, looting, you got to sit back and think, how many of these stores are being rioted and looting versus opportunists? Because it's all going to be called rioting and looting. If somebody breaks a store window and goes in there and steals some TV, some radios, or food or accessories, it's going to be rioting, looting, and not opportunists that just sit back and because they know where they're going to point the blame at. I like for us as Rockfordans and surrounding cities to be better with each other, so that we can have an understanding. If you know how black people, if you can get a percentage of how black people feel watching that video versus all the other videos they didn't watch throughout history of how people then treated their race when it comes to, we're not even talking about if a crime was committed, just this was treated in general. And that just clicks in another thing. I like for us, all people, all races, to be better with each other, and this problem will be easy. It's not one person that shouldn't be out marching, protesting. If that's how the police treat the citizens in their city, We got this thing where, you know what I'm saying, we turn a blind eye to so much until it happens in your backyard, when it happens to you. When it happens to you, and now you care. But when it's happening to the kids on the other side of the town, the kids in the inner city, the people where, you know, it's out of your district, you could turn a blind eye to it. And let's stop doing that. We're having a conversation that it hurts to have, and it puts you in an uncomfortable situation to have. But we got to man up, and we got to take this grain of salt, because this is the world that we live in. It's a fact. This is the world that we live in, and this is the world that we want to change. I want to sit back and take the time. That's what I have to say. That's my opinion. I want to take this time out to thank all the protesters and sitting back and voicing their opinion. Me being 45 years of age and have kids. I have kids. I got teenage kids. I got 24-year-old. I got an 18-year-old. I got daughters, 13, 14, and two boys, 4 and 9. In my household, I'm a married individual. We have a combined family. I have a combined family. And to sit back and not know, at first, not knowing where this generation is going, what is the youth are, where they're going to, because this music that they listen to has me weirded out, and I'm feeling like they're a lost generation. But to sit back and watch young kids out there voicing putting their voices to work, putting their minds to work, protesting and using their right to protest and freedom of speech, that's totally awesome. I love it. I commend it, even if they were right or wrong in that protest. But to be there protesting their thoughts and their vision, because the rhetoric is open and they're asking for questions. They're looking for this. And Kaepernick done this years ago, right after Tebow, and it was nothing until Kaepernick did it. But Kaepernick was protesting during the national anthem, so let's bring awareness to police brutality. And if he used it during the national anthem, it's his given right that he could take. He just took a knee. He wasn't in TV screens yelling and doing all that stuff right there. It was a peaceful protest that he was having with himself, that other people joined in and to assist him with it, because police brutality needs to be it's a broad awareness that needs to happen with police brutality. And big ups to the protesters. You guys doing, young and old, you guys are doing your thing. Keep protesting until you get the answers that you need. But don't forget, don't let city officials off hooks. Make them answer those questions. And I don't know why this hasn't happened yet, but city officials need to step up, and they need to condemn what happened in Minnesota, and they need to say who we are not, because I would hate to know that I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and those are the officers and the people in charge that's watching over me and my family. If I knew that that's what's happening in Rockford, I grab my family and I move. I'm a Rockfordian. I've been here my whole life. I support the 815 and everything they're doing. I'm in outreach programs. I go to DOC once or twice a year to speak to inmates in there about things to do when they come home, or try to get involved in. And I think that everything that those guys are doing as far as like peaceful protesting, and I think it's all great, and everything that's going on as far as rioting and looting and all that stuff right there is totally terrible, and people that's involved with it should definitely disassociate themselves with that movement right there. My name is James Purifoy. I'm the owner of 15th and Chris. Didn't mean to offend anybody or alarm anybody. If this response did that, play it back 1 to 3 times, and if you remain mad over that, you're the reason we're protesting. Thank you very much. See you guys later. You guys take care. Thank you, B103, for the opportunity, and guys, take care.